Hi, Chapel Hill. Today I am coming to you from my car and not flying down the highway. I'm in the church parking lot. But I'm coming to you from my car for a reason. And the reason is this: there's a lot that happens in this car. This is my processing place on most days. When I'm driving from the church back home, it gives me a place where I can process the things that have gone on that day and prepare myself for my family at home. When I leave home and I come to the church, it gives me a place to process what's going on at home and prepare myself for what lies ahead here at the church. And there's been a lot of processing going on in this car recently, and that's because there's a lot to process. There's a lot going on. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges in the world right now, and with this pandemic and the reality that surprisingly, when I went to college and I got my agriculture technology degree, they did not teach me how to lead a church through a global pandemic. I'm really surprised by that. But there's the issue of racism has come to the surface again, and is a very real, deep problem, and my brain's just going wild with processing that and looking at all of the talk about reopening the church and an outdoor service that we've got scheduled now and how to do that safely and effectively. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff, and you'll hear more of what's going on coming out soon. There'll be things that you hear about, and so here I sit in my car, and all of this is bouncing around and processing all these things and trying to sort it all out and make sense of it, and sometimes I just feel surrounded by it, and like it's coming at me from all sides. And I'm sure many of you feel the same way right now with all that's going on around you. You're surrounded by these challenges, these trials, the tension, the pressure, the stress of what's going on, and often it's just work related or it's family related or whatever it is. There always seems to be so many things happening around us. And in the midst of this, the other day, Jamie sends me a link to a song by a group called Upper Room, and it's called Surrounded. And in that song are the two lines, it may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. And it's just this call out to God, acknowledging that it looks like I'm completely surrounded with all that's going on, and it's hemming me in on every side. But the reality is, God, I am surrounded by you. And immediately I got thinking about what we've been talking about the last couple weeks in church, and the picture that we have of the love of Christ and how wide his love is, how far it goes, how high it is, how deep it is. And then last week we talked about how our lives reflect that, and we did a little bit of self-assessment of how wide and how far and how high and how deep is our love. Do we reflect the love of Christ? And as I look ahead to this Sunday, we're going to talk about, well, how if we did kind of a self-evaluation last Sunday. This Sunday, we're going to answer the question of how do we increase that love? How do we get to a place where the love of Christ is reflected more brightly in all of our lives, in all areas of our lives, in every direction? And so we're going to talk about that. And so join us at 10 on Sunday again as we continue to explore what it is to love the world around us and to reflect the love of Christ in our lives. And I'm excited about this again. In the meantime, here's my word of encouragement for you, because this made a difference for me, and I hope it makes a difference for you. And it's simply taking all that's going on around you, all that you feel surrounds you, and acknowledging it may look like I'm surrounded, but then turning your face to God and saying, but I'm surrounded by you. His love surrounds every one of us. His power surrounds every one of us. His wisdom, His grace, His mercy, His presence is all around us. And I hope you remember that this week and every week, every day, that you remember that it may look like we're surrounded, but we're surrounded by Him, by God. Tell Him that, acknowledge that with Him today, and praise Him for that, the fact that He surrounds you. even though it does look like we're surrounded. I look forward to connecting with you this Sunday again, and I just want you to know that I'm praying for you, that you sense and know that love of Christ that surrounds you. I love you, Chapel Hill. I'll see you soon.